How is Georgia favored to win against Ole Miss this weekend? Who's cracking open the cigars on the third Saturday in October? USC versus Notre Dame is actually interesting, and we got a holy war happening this weekend. This is the Nitro College Football Show. I'm Burl.
And I'm Streit.
And we're going to break down all the big matchups from this upcoming weekend. So like and subscribe if you love college football. We're going to dive into Week 8 predictions. Ole Miss travels to Athens, Georgia, where Georgia is favored by 6 and a hook.
College game day is coming. Everybody's coming. And after last week, I'm sure we're not going to hear the end of the Georgia controversy after the Auburn game. Ole Miss comes in number 5 in the country, undefeated, scoring lots of points. Off a beatdown of Georgia last year in Oxford. And I said before the Georgia-Auburn game, I said for me to feel comfortable with Georgia, I was going to need Georgia to score at least 30 points against Auburn. They didn't do that. And
no,
this game scares me a lot. This game scared me a lot on the schedule anyway, because Ole Miss last year, out of any game, was the one team that really dominated Georgia last year. That Georgia got a pick on the opening drive and got a touchdown, and then did nothing the rest of the way. The score wasn't a blowout, crazy. It was whatever it was, 27-10 or whatever it was, but it was not that close. Even when Georgia had knocked Jackson Dart out of the game and Austin Simmons came in and played, he looked great. Now, Austin Simmons is the backup because Trinidad Chambliss looks great. And
he does.
And Ole Miss can score, and they score, and they score, and they score, and their defense is not bad either.
I don't know who else can score. Them Georgia Bulldogs.
When you look at
in the second half, but you look at points per game. Ole Miss has 38.6, and Georgia at 39.3 yards per game. Ole Miss 478.9, Georgia 493. Penalties. This is an interesting one. Ole Miss is averaging almost 74 yards per game in penalties, where Georgia's only averaging 44.
Yeah. Georgia has been a much more disciplined team this year, other than PI calls. But yeah, like I said, I needed Georgia to score last week against Auburn. I needed the offense to look good against a tough defense. And yes, they kind of got it going after, with 2 minutes left in the first half, they'd done nothing, and they outscored Auburn 20-0 after that point. But the inconsistency as an offense and the total lack of defense in the first quarters of games the last few weeks scares me. It scares me that Ole Miss is a team that could start scoring fast and you couldn't keep up with. Georgia was able to do it against Tennessee, and they were able to weather the storm against Alabama and Auburn. But I don't know if you can do that against Ole Miss when they're clicking.
Yeah, and one stat that scares me is Ole Miss is converting third downs at 50% rate.
And we know Georgia's really not good at that.
Yeah. And yeah, so that percentage is probably going to go up this weekend. Maybe they hit 60%.
Yeah. Now, Ole Miss struggled with Washington State this last week, but their players and even Kiffin kind of admitted they were working on Georgia. So if they were working on Georgia, they treated this Washington State week kind of like a bye week. And it almost made them pay, but it didn't. So if you're asking me what happens when they come to Athens on Saturday, I just don't have the confidence right now in Georgia that we can slow their offense down. Now, I don't think that it's going to be a blowout. Actually, I think it's going to be a lot closer game than it was last year. But if you're asking me right now to make a pick, I said I needed 30 against Auburn, and we didn't get it. So right now today, I think for the first time all season, I'm picking against Georgia. I'm going to take Ole Miss 31, Georgia 24.
I am honestly not shocked. I was very after while I was in my emotional state after the Georgia game, after the Auburn game, Georgia-Auburn, I was like, man, there's no way we're going to beat Ole Miss. And it was like, we're going to lose all the rest of our games. But as we've talked it out over the past couple days, and we've dug into the stats and we've looked into everything, I have a lot more confidence in Georgia because we know what they can do once they get settled in. The offense has been really consistent all season long. The only thing that broke in terms of consistency this past weekend was the running game. Georgia couldn't run the ball worth a damn against Auburn, and I think that's just a credit to Auburn's defense, frankly, because it's a really good defense. It is a little concerning that Georgia couldn't run the ball, but they made up for it with short passes and Gunnar Stockton. And on the defensive side, we've seen Georgia just second half flip a switch and absolutely shut teams down. Good teams. So I think, I mean, I can't come out and say that I think Georgia's going to start fast and hold Ole Miss, in the first quarter, first half. But I think they will keep them in striking distance, and then Georgia actually will win and pull away at the end. So give me Georgia 30, Ole Miss 24.
All right. We shall see.
Indeed. Okay. Next up, Texas Tech against Arizona State.
Yeah, and I feel like this would have been a lot better game if not for what happened this last weekend. Arizona State kind of got housed by Utah, but Sam Leavitt was out, and I'm not sure what the latest update is on him. But Arizona State was starting Jeff Sims, who was at Georgia Tech. Like, I think he's like an 8th-year player. Like, he's one of those guys that's been around forever, I think. Right?
Is that another Phil Sims' son?
No, it's not.
Be a lot cooler if it was.
Yeah, no, definitely not related there. But I don't know what the update is on Sam Leavitt, but I feel like I've talked a lot about Texas Tech, man. I feel like they are playing well. They are a juggernaut that has been bought and paid for. And if Leavitt's there or if he's not, I just feel like right now the momentum is on Texas Tech's side.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, I'm going to take Texas Tech to win handily here. Give me Texas Tech 40, Arizona State 17.
I hear you. So let's talk about this Texas Tech team a little bit. Their offense, super explosive. They actually rank first in total offense and second in scoring offense. That's impressive. And the defense is just as good. They're 6th in scoring defense, 9th in total defense, and first against the run. And if Sam Leavitt's hurt, even if he plays hurt, that means that Arizona State has to run the ball more, and they're not going to be able to. And given how they looked last week against Utah getting demolished, I don't see them really competing in this game against Texas Tech, who is just on a roll right now. So for me, give me Texas Tech 38, ASU 14.
All right. Seem to kind of be on the same page there.
Indeed. Okay. Next up, we got the third Saturday in October, Tennessee at Alabama, 8.5-point spread.
Now, Tennessee has won 2 of the last 3. Of course, both of those were in Knoxville. I think Bama once again, this is the end of that 4-game stretch for them. 4 straight games against ranked teams, 2 at home, 2 on the road. I think they'll be looking for revenge really on this Tennessee squad. Everything has been coming together for Alabama. They've been playing so well with Ty Simpson. It's just the consistency, right? And I see this game similar a lot to how Georgia approached Tennessee. Keep it consistent. Tennessee may hit you with some shots. They may hit you in the mouth, but I think your talent is a little bit better than Tennessee's is. And so to me, that's the key. For Alabama, it's not getting behind too far, keeping on their script with what they've been doing the last few weeks, which is not Alabama years past. They've played smart football. They've worked the ball down the field. They haven't gone for just necessarily crazy deep shots and things like that. Use Isaiah Horton, use Jeremy Bernard. Ryan Williams may be a great player, but he's kind of disappeared from their offense, and that hasn't necessarily been a bad thing. I think that fits better with what Ty Simpson does. Concerned with the running game there. If Jam Miller's out, don't know what his status is. Concussion this last game. That could hurt Alabama. I think Tennessee, once again, I think their offense is strong and their defense is good, but it's just not as good as it was last year. Going to be another close one. But much like the Georgia game, I think Alabama has just enough to get past Tennessee. So I'm taking Alabama 34, Tennessee 28.
Do you think that this is a playoff elimination game for Tennessee?
It might be.
I kind of think it feels like it to me because that would give them 2 losses in conference. So that would pretty much eliminate them from the SEC championship game. So they would
well, it just depends. It depends on what happens the rest of the way with Georgia, I think. If they end up 10-2, but your losses are to Alabama, who's probably in the conference championship, and if Georgia continues to play well, they're at least in the playoff conversation, then
but you still have A&M up there, you got Ole Miss up there.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough.
It's crowded. It's going to be crowded.
It's going to be crowded up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So having a second loss in conference is going to make it really hard.
And it's only your 7th game of the year. You still got 5 games left to play too. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think there's playoff implications to this game. I think it's nice that this is actually a rivalry again. Because for years, Alabama just dominated this game, and Tennessee's won 2 of the last 3, right?
Right. Yep.
So welcome back to a rivalry on 3rd Saturday of October. And this will be DeBoer's first game against Tennessee at home. So that Bama's going to be jacked for this game. They're going to come out, be really amped. This is a revenge game for them.
Yeah.
It has to
absolutely.
be. It has to be.
Tennessee's beaten twice out of the last 3 years and rushed the field both times. So
yeah, and last year they did it with Nico, who couldn't throw a forward pass.
Right.
He just had to go to UCLA, get his coach fired, and start from scratch. And then now he's good. He's like the best quarterback in the nation right now. So all that being said, I think it's still Bama. Ty Simpson, he's the Heisman front runner. He's playing lights out. Bama has proven this year that they have ice in their veins when it comes to these big games, not counting the FSU game. That was what appears to be a giant anomaly at this point. Bama played great against Missouri, beat Georgia. So with them coming home, beat Vandy at home. They took care of Vandy at home. And I see that kind of happening here, but it'll be much closer. So give me Bama 32, Tennessee 30.
All right.
The Tennessee covers.
Okay.
Okay, next, USC at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored by 7.5.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Well, they're at home, and I think it's part of it. But I also think that people look at Notre Dame after those 2 losses. They've been playing really well. CJ Carr has really, really come into his own at quarterback for them. Over the last 5 games, he's got 11 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. They've of course got their strong running game. I mean, look at their last 3 games. Against Arkansas, he threw for 354 yards and 4 touchdowns. Against NC State on Saturday, he threw for 342 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's playing well. Their running backs are playing well. But on the opposite side, we talked a little bit about USC this week. Like, USC put a hurting on Michigan, and they are balanced on offense, and they are doing well on defense. So what does that say? Well, we know Notre Dame's got a good offense, and they've got a pretty good defense, but they've been susceptible to giving up some points, the Texas A&M game in particular. USC's coming to Notre Dame. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game than what you would think, because you've got 2 teams with defenses that are playing well, but I think their offenses are going to feast here. Last year's USC Notre Dame was a super high scoring game where Miller Moss was playing quarterback for USC and threw for like 1 billion yards, but Notre Dame won. I think we're going to see another high scoring game. I think USC's kind of got the mo here. I think they've got it going on both sides of the ball. I'm going to pick USC to win this game, and I'm going to pick them to win 38-31.
Yeah, to me, this was the hardest game to pick of the week. At least it was for me. USC coming off the big win this past weekend, which was, a lot of people didn't really see that coming, and they're looking to keep that momentum. And then you got Notre Dame. They get to play at home, and home field advantage helps a lot, especially in rivalry games. It's hard for me, honestly, to pick against USC, but I think with the way Notre Dame has been playing over the past few games, CJ Carr's looked great. Jeremiah Love has been back to being Jeremiah Love, and that running game. So I think it's going to be Notre Dame 32, USC 21.
All right. Ooh, now that's a low score for USC with how well their offense is playing, but we'll see.
We shall see, indeed. All right, next up, the Holy War.
The Jihad.
Yeah. Utah versus BYU.
Yeah. So this game got a little bit more interesting this last weekend, right? BYU slipped past Arizona. They had to come back in the fourth quarter, won in double overtime. Utah put a hurting on Arizona State. And so Utah, their only loss in the season was against Texas Tech, a game that was close until Texas Tech blew them away in the fourth quarter. This is an interesting one. Yes, it's a rivalry game. It's the Holy War. A game that wasn't played for a few years, and now it's back to being that they're in the same conference and it's getting played every year. And I think BYU has their. I've talked about it a lot. That November 8th game against Texas Tech, I think BYU is playing towards that. They've been getting better. They weren't expected to be here. They lost their quarterback in the middle of the offseason, and they had a pretty senior-heavy team last year that had one of the best years in school history. So I think BYU is finding out what they are.
And now he's killing it at Tulane.
Right. Utah's a good program as well. I think, last year they had all those crazy injuries. And so I think this is going to be a close game. Rivalry game here. Utah favored by 3.5, but the game's at BYU. Like I said, I think BYU has a little bit more to play for. And so to me, that's going to tip the scale. So give me BYU 23, Utah 20.
Yeah, I think this is also going to be a very, very close game, hard-fought game. I think BYU should have the advantage with being at home. They are coming off a pretty emotional game, but this is your biggest rival, so throw everything out the window. I think they got a great story at quarterback right now, and I just think BYU is kind of that team right now, and they're gonna at least make it to that Texas Tech game undefeated. Yeah. So give me BYU 25, Utah 23.
All right.
And then there was LSU traveling to Nash Vegas, going to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is a 1.5 point favorite over LSU.
What?
You did not hear me incorrectly. Vanderbilt, the Vanderbilt Commodores, is favored by 1.5 over a ranked LSU.
A top 10 ranked LSU.
This is wild to me.
Now, why? Right?
Up is down, down is up. Cats and dogs are getting along.
Yeah. Reasons for that. Okay, number one, Vandy's coming off their first loss of the year, losing to Alabama, but they had the bye week, right? So they have a week to get right. Look at the problems that they had against Alabama, because remember, early in that Alabama game, they looked like Vandy last year. They were operating, they were moving the ball, and then everything fell apart and Bama took over. But we know Vandy's a solid team. They're good. They've got a good quarterback, and they're playing at home. And the inconsistencies of LSU on the offensive side of the ball is a reason that somebody could say, okay, I see a path for Vanderbilt to win this game. Now, I think LSU's defense on the flip side is playing great. And a great defense is what shut down Pavia 2 weeks ago against Alabama. I think for LSU, I think they are the overall more talented team. Vandy is playing well, but I think the defense makes a difference here. I think Vandy finds it hard to really get the offensive going. So I see this going a lot similar to what happened with South Carolina and LSU this weekend. LSU's defense just kind of suffocates a good quarterback, and it's tough for him to get going. I think LSU, while inconsistent on offense, has enough firepower to get past Vandy. So give me LSU 24, Vandy 17.
Interesting. I like it. That's a good pick. Good pick. I actually have a lot more faith in Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on the show. So go back to the Vandy Bama game. To me, the biggest difference in that game was Pavia's 2 turnovers in the red zone.
Very true.
And I see Pavia as the type of player, he's a gamer, he's a winner. He wins everywhere he goes. And I think he's going to correct those types of mistakes. And that's not going to happen, even though LSU's defense is really good. Their offense is actually just really bad.
Yeah.
And with Vandy being able to score and have their defense is not terrible. I think Vandy's going to win this handily, 28-17.
All right. You heard it here first. Burl's got Vandy taking down LSU at home.
Anchor down, baby.
If that happens, do we see the goalpost in the river again?
I hope so.
I don't think so. I think Vanderbilt's got protection in place that it's not happening again. But
I think
but the goalpost down Broadway is cool.
any big game that they win, they should always take the goalpost down Broadway. Save a goalpost, ride a cowboy.
All right. Well, I think that was the end of our our big games for this weekend. Not quite as stacked as last weekend, but we still got some interesting ones out there.
Yeah, big weekend for the SEC, that's for sure.
Yeah, three. Yeah, you got three real big ones.
Three big
between
games.
ranked teams. Yeah, on tap. So just another week, man. Just another week in the SEC.
It'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. If you love college football, like and subscribe to this channel and hit us up. Leave us comments. Let us know what you think, what your picks are for this weekend, and how crazy are ours. Like, tell us where we're wrong. Leave us all in the comments, and hit us up on the socials: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Nitro CFB. And we will be back, or I will be back on Saturday after the Georgia game for our weekly Dogs post game.
I will be in the woods.
It was awesome having you on the show this past weekend. I think it was like our best show, honestly.
Yeah. I won't be there this weekend. I said this on the other show. I'm camping this weekend with my son, so I will be in the woods in North Georgia. So bring the victory home, Burl, for the Dogs. But
you should join from your phone by the campfire and be really creepy.
Yeah. That would be strange.
Stranger Things.
But yeah, like I said, if you like the show, please subscribe. It really helps us out. Enjoy the college football this weekend. But until next week, I'm Streit.
I'm Burl.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.